Hello and welcome. We are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Second wave of explosion in southern Lebanon, raising fears of wider conflict. Israel declares new phase of war. Ukraine claims Russian advancement in Kursk region has been stopped. President Zelenskiy says victory plan is fully prepared. US Fed cuts interest rates by half a percentage point in a first since 2020, signaling end to its inflation fight. Nature's fury engulfs parts of world. Wildfires in Portugal and Peru wreak havoc. Flood upends normal life across vast swaths in USA, Europe and Africa. In Chennai Test, India lose Rohit Sharma early as Bangladesh put hosts into bat after winning the toss. India go with 3 seamers and 2 spinners in playing 11. A second wave of device explosions killed 20 people and wounded more than 450 others on Wednesday in Hezbollah strongholds in Lebanon. A source close to Hezbollah said walkie-talkies used by its members blew up its Beirut stronghold, with state media reporting similar blasts in south and east Lebanon. The deadly attacks came a day after the simultaneous explosion of hundreds of paging devices used by Hezbollah killed 12 people, including 2 children, and wounded up to 3,000 others in an unprecedented attack blamed on Israel. While Israeli officials have not commented, security sources claim Israel's spy agency Mossad was behind the attacks. A Hezbollah official described the incident as the group's biggest security breach in its history. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said during a visit to an airbase that the nation is at the start of a new phase in the war and that the center of gravity is moving northward. And 2 consecutive blasts in pager and walkie-talkie devices in Lebanon on Tuesday and Wednesday has created fear in the Western nations and the USA about prospects of further escalation of war in the Middle East, with Israel in the center. They are now making all-out efforts to limit its area of spread and its lethal nature. However, the question remains how Hezbollah will reorganize its communication networks. Here's a detailed report by Akhilesh Suman. A second deadly wave of unprecedented explosions in Lebanon left many dead and Hezbollah in disarray. Hours before a major speech by its beleaguered leader Hassan Nasrallah, walkie-talkies used by its members exploded in the latest blast at Hezbollah's Beirut stronghold. The latest batch of device explosions have stoked fears of a full-blown war with Israel. USA has distanced itself from these incidents in Lebanon and denied any involvement in Tuesday and Wednesday blasts. It has, however, warned all sides against escalation of conflict in the Middle East.
We still don't want to see an escalation of any kind. We don't believe that the way to solve where we're at in this crisis is by additional military operations at all. We still believe that the best way to prevent escalation, to prevent another front from opening up in Lebanon, is through diplomacy.
The blast came a day after the simultaneous detonation of pagers used by Hezbollah killed 12 people, including 2 children, and wounded up to 3,000 others across Lebanon in an unprecedented attack blamed on Israel. The attacks have dealt a heavy blow to Hezbollah. The situation at the Lebanon-Israel border continues to be tense and volatile. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres too has cautioned against major escalation of war.
As important as the event in itself is the indication that this event confirms that there is a serious risk of a dramatic escalation in Lebanon, and everything must be done to avoid that escalation.
Senior diplomats from the United States, Britain, Germany, France and Italy will also meet on Thursday in Paris to discuss the spiraling tensions in the Middle East, especially in the wake of recent blasts in Lebanon. However, the question everyone is asking is about the credibility of procured devices by Hezbollah, as the pagers were supplied by a Bulgarian company and walkie-talkies by a Japanese one. But given the past history, Hezbollah has the capability to quickly reorganize, and that is the reason that the West fears that the strikes may not go without a reply. Akhilesh Suman's report for DD India. And Japanese firm ICOM said on Thursday that it was investigating the facts regarding news reports that two-way radio devices bearing its logo have exploded in Lebanon. Tokyo Stock Exchange listed ICOM said in a statement that it would release updated information on the matter as it becomes available on its website. Well, let's go across to DD India's Akshay Dongre is joining us live in the newsroom. Akshay, pager blasts, then walkie-talkies. Israel's defense minister Yoav Gallant declared the start of a new phase of war, quote-unquote, without basically directly referring to the blast in Lebanon. And Hezbollah also has pledged retribution. Bigger ramifications, consequences now?
Well, it seems like it that there are going to be bigger ramifications of the attack, and in fact, the kind of security breach that has been achieved by the agencies who have in fact tricked the pagers of Hezbollah, and then later, only within 24 hours, the walkie-talkies as well, seems to be a strong indication that the ambit of this war is expanding very, very rapidly. Now, ICOM, the firm that has manufactured these walkie-talkies, is based out of Japan. They are also saying that there is no link established that the rigged walkie-talkies were exactly, tempered with in Japan. The second firm, that is a Taiwanese firm, Gold Apollo, that had manufactured, that in fact manufactured these pagers, said that it had not manufactured. Taiwan has said that it had not manufactured the pagers, but it was manufactured by one of a firm that operates out of Budapest and manufactures these pagers under its licensed name. So somewhere in between, from manufacturing to handing over these pagers to Hezbollah, a rigging has happened. Tempering of these electronic devices has happened that has converted them into IEDs. Now, the biggest focus of Israel right now, as you have been rightly mentioning, is moving towards north from south. Now, the operations, as indicated by the Israeli government, will be moving towards north, and what it means is that Lebanon is located in the northern part of the country, and that is why it seems that the indications that are coming in from the top brass of Israel as well is indicating a focus moving towards the northern borders of Israel, which not only has Lebanon there, but also Damascus is near. You have Syrian border on the north as well. And it seems that after the year-long operations in the southern part that was near the Gaza Strip, now this conflict will be escalating to different levels altogether. In fact, there have been indications coming in that world leaders have called for all the parties to prevent an all-out war, which seems like a possibility now, given the scale of attacks that have been carried out in Lebanon, especially targeting the Hezbollah fighters and the top leadership. Now, these pager blasts, accompanied by the walkie-talkie blast, have not only demoralized Hezbollah, but has also, has been part of, in a way, a psychological warfare that has taken place and has become a new, arena of this warfare. So it seems that tougher days are ahead for the region of the Middle East.
Right, Akshay. Also, after nearly a year of tit-for-tat exchanges between Hezbollah and Israel, the question now is whether this operation was a prelude to a larger Israeli military offensive or an alternative to it. But yes, this is not going to end here. Tell us, how is world reacting to it?
Well, we have heard the reaction coming in from the White House. We have the reaction coming in from the United Nations General Secretary. All of them are calling for a prevention of an all-out war, prevention of a fallout of the conflict that has been going on for over a year. Yes, these have been in a way, Abhishek, but we have to note that these kind of statements have been coming in from the very beginning of the war. Despite these statements coming in, it seems that hardly anyone has paid any heed to it. Neither have all the hostages been returned to Israel, nor the military action that was being carried out by Israel, be it in the Gaza Strip or the other borders that has stopped. So it seems that while the world is reacting and calling for prevention of an all-out war, it seems that this may be a prelude to something bigger that is coming in West Asia, and we can expect that some kind of retaliation from Hezbollah, but it is going to be extremely difficult. That being said, for Hezbollah to reorganize, to rearm, and to remotivate most of it, their fighters and the top leadership, given the kind of attack that has been carried out, it has in fact spread a wide fear in the proxies of Iran that have been acting against Israel since the beginning of the war that started on 7th of October last year.
Not going to end here, it seems. But a last question before we leave you, Akshay. About the credibility of procured devices by Hezbollah, as the pagers were supplied by a Bulgarian company and the walkie-talkies, like you said, by a Japanese one, ICOM. Is there a bigger picture to it?
There certainly is a bigger picture to it. The biggest question that came out, and that was not being only raised in Lebanon or Israel or the countries where these pagers and walkie-talkies are manufactured. The big question was about sabotage and the technologies that have the potential to be rigged like this. That has happened recently. That has happened in Lebanon with the Hezbollah fighters. So that has been a quite concern, not just for the common people, but also from technological firms that have been manufacturing all of these technical equipment, and how it can be easily rigged. And the scale at which this operation has been carried out has clearly has unsettled many people. In fact, Taiwan has issued a statement that it is closely coordinating and investigating how the pagers that were named after the firm Gold Apollo and that were manufactured in Budapest, how they were rigged, at what scale they were rigged, and how could how could a pager, a simple device, can be converted into an explosive device. Similarly, the Japanese firms are also investigating, but it seems that the kind of damage that this attack has done to the world, especially the faith in these technological equipments, that is going to remain, and that is this is probably going to be the modus operandi for future sabotage operations and conflicts as well. Back to you, Abhishek.
All right, Akshay, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Updates now on Russia-Ukraine conflict. A large-scale Ukrainian drone attack on Russia triggered an earthquake-sized blast at a major arsenal in the Tver region on Wednesday, forcing the evacuation of a nearby town. Satellite images from Maxar Technology show fire and smoke rising from the ammunition after the attack. The governor of the Tver region, Igor Rudenya, mentioned that Ukrainian drones had been shot down, a fire had broken out and some residents were being evacuated. NASA satellites picked up intense heat sources emanating from an area of about 14 square kilometers at the site. As per the sources, the drone attack had destroyed a warehouse storing missiles, guided bombs and artillery ammunition. And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky hailed a very important result in overnight military activity on Russian territory on Wednesday, without referring specifically to the warehouse attack.
First of all, I want to thank our soldiers who ensure our Ukrainian long-range capabilities. A very important result was achieved last night on Russian territory, and such actions weaken the enemy. I thank everyone involved. Such precision is truly inspiring. Our special services, the security service, the main intelligence directorate and the special operations forces, thank you.
And Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky on Wednesday said that his victory plan intended to bring peace to Ukraine was now complete after much consultation. On the plan's preparation, Zelenskyy has given few clues of the contents, indicating that it aims to create terms acceptable to Ukraine. He added that the most important thing now is the determination to implement the plan. Meanwhile, Ukraine's military administration said Russia's counteroffensive to retake Ukrainian-held territory in the Kursk region has been stopped. Russia has repeatedly said it is willing to negotiate, but Zelenskyy has rejected any negotiation proposals, citing Russian troops occupying nearly 20% of the country's territory. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. We'll tell you updates on Sri Lanka presidential polls to be held on Saturday. Haiti's government on Wednesday created a provisional electoral council. And conservationists are warning of a butterfly emergency as an annual UK survey recorded the lowest ever result in its 14-year history.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Moving on to other stories, White House said US President Joe Biden is looking forward to bringing India's PM Narendra Modi, Japanese PM Fumio Kishida and Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese to his hometown Delaware for the Quad Summit set to be held on September 21st. The mega summit also marks Biden's last Quad Summit of his term ahead of the presidential elections in the US.
The president has developed over 3.5 years and more. The president has developed a relationship with these leaders, and so he wanted to continue on that diplomacy, if you will, by bringing them to Wilmington. And I think it's important. I think it's important show of how those relationship has grown. It's important to show how much the president really focuses on foreign policy, and I think that's what you should see from that. It's politics, not just domestic, but also foreign policy is very much local.
Addressing a press briefing, U.S. National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications John Kirby said President Biden will meet Quad leaders individually and the four together in a larger plenary session where they will discuss expanding cooperation on various critically important issues. Talking about the issues, Kirby said that China will certainly be high on the agenda at the Quad Summit.
Well, I think it'll certainly be high on the agenda, John. I mean, there's not an opportunity when you get together with these particular leaders, the Indo-Pacific Quad, where in fact, it would be irresponsible if they didn't talk about the challenges that still exist in the region caused by aggressive PRC military action, for instance, unfair trade practices, tensions over the Taiwan Strait. I have no doubt that all those issues will come up.
And the USA's House of Representatives has blocked a bill moved by the Republicans to avert an imminent government shutdown. The bill was opposed by some of the Republicans too. The bill was moved by Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican leader, but he could not get the support of 14 lawmakers of its own party. However, the bill got support from 3 lawmakers from the Democratic Party. The bill failed by 220-202 votes. Unless the House takes up the issue and passes another bill to avert a crisis situation, US could be staring at the prospect of the federal shutdown. The shutdown would see the closure of federal agencies and national parks, limiting public services and furloughing millions of workers without pay just weeks before the election. The bill was moved by Republicans as stopgap arrangement till the budget was passed. The problem with the Republican draft was that it also included the SAVE Act, a Trump-backed measure that requires proof of citizenship when registering to vote in federal elections. Democrats said that SAVE Act was not required because it was already legal for non-citizens to cast a ballot in federal elections. And US President Joe Biden hosted a reception at the White House to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month and honor the contributions of Latin Americans. The president was introduced by actress and Hispanic American Jessica Alba. Biden then jokingly asked actress Alba for a job as he enters his final months in the White House.
And by the way, Jessica, thank you for the introduction. She's an actor, producer, advocate, author, and she knows how to build companies. Jessica, if I'm really good, maybe you can get me a job on the side. God love you.
Now, Sudan's army and the paramilitary rapid support forces said they are open for peaceful solutions to a war that has been ongoing for more than 17 months. Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan said on Wednesday the Sudanese government remains open to all constructive efforts aimed at ending the war before RSF leader Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo followed suit with a similar sentiment early on Thursday. However, both Burhan and Dagalo traded blame for a failure to bring an end to a conflict that has killed more than 12,000 people since it started in April 2023. Accusing each other of committing abuses, they have not outlined specific steps towards reaching a peaceful solution. Now, in September 7 Kentucky highway shooting case, the authorities said that they have found the body of the suspect on Wednesday. Kentucky State Police Commissioner Philip P.J. Burnett Jr. said troopers and 2 civilians found a body in the Laurel County, adding the body will be sent to Frankfurt for identification.
Today at approximately 3:30 p.m., London Post, KSP Post, was notified that 2 troopers and 2 civilians had found an unidentified body in the deep brush behind exit 49 in Laurel County. At this time, we still have troopers and personnel out there processing the scene. There were articles associated with the body that at this time we feel is Joseph Couch. Laurel County Coroner is there present, and then the body, identified body at this time, will be sent to Frankfurt for positive identification tomorrow.
And campaigning for the presidential elections in Sri Lanka ended last night. The silent period will be in force until the election is completed. The frontrunners held rallies in Colombo last evening, making a final push to attract the voters. 38 candidates are in the fray, including incumbent President Ranil Wickremesinghe, leader of opposition, and SJB candidate Sajid Premadasa, NPP leader Anurag Kumara Dissanayake, and Namal Rajapaksa from SLPP. Sri Lanka's Election Commission has urged the voters to utilize the period to think independently before they vote. During this period, any form of election campaign activities are prohibited, and the police are authorized to arrest any parties that violate election rules. The Commission also said that all election offices established by political parties must be removed by midnight, and the election will be held on Saturday from 7 a.m. till 5 p.m. Counting of votes will begin after the completion of voting. With no candidate projected to secure a majority exceeding 50%, it is anticipated that counting will go into second round as well. Now, North Korea tested new tactical ballistic missiles using super large warheads and modified cruise missiles on Wednesday. Wednesday's tests involved the new tactical ballistic missile Hwasong 11DA 4.5. North Korea's state news agency KCNA reported that the missile testing was led by leader Kim Jong-un, who called for stronger conventional weapons and nuclear capabilities. The tests to improve weapons capabilities are required because of the grave threat posed by outside forces to the security of the country, Kim was quoted as saying. Last week, North Korea also unveiled a uranium enrichment facility in the first such public report ever. Now, Venezuela's public ministry announced on Wednesday that arrest warrants are being processed against Argentina's President Javier Milei and 2 other officials over allegedly stealing an aircraft. Attorney General Tariq Saab assigned 2 prosecutors to issue the arrest warrants for President Milei. President Secretary Karina Millet and Security Minister Patricia Bullrich. The officials stand accused of theft and dismantling a seized Boeing 747-300 aircraft which Argentina confiscated in Buenos Aires in 2022, suspecting it of having links to international terrorist groups linked to Iran. Argentina handed the aircraft to the United States in February. The U.S. Department of Justice said the U.S. origin Boeing aircraft is subjected to sanctions as its sale from Iran violates U.S. export laws. Now, Venezuelan opposition candidate Edmundo Gonzalez Urrutia said that he was coerced into signing a document recognizing President Nicolas Maduro as the winner of the country's contested election as a condition for letting him flee to Spain. Gonzalez is currently in Spain, where he was granted political asylum earlier this month following the issue of warrant for his arrest in Venezuela.
While at the residence of a Spanish ambassador, the President of National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, and the Vice President of Republic, Delcy Rodriguez, showed up with a document that I would have to sign to allow me to leave the country. In other words, either I signed it or I would face the consequences. There were very tense hours of coercion, blackmail, and pressure. At those moments, I considered that I could be more useful, free than in jail, unable to fulfill the task entrusted to me by the sovereign. A document produced under coercion is vitiated by absolute nullity due to a serious defect in consent.
And hundreds of Venezuelans cross into northern Brazil as the political situation in Venezuela worsens following the disputed July 28 presidential election. Fleeing citizens of the South American nation said the situation in Venezuela is getting worse under the leadership of President Maduro. Mali's security situation remained unclear on Wednesday after insurgents attacked an elite police training academy and other strategic areas, killing trainees, overrunning part of the airport and setting the presidential jet alight. The army said a series of ambushes and explosions across military-run Niger killed at least 12 soldiers and wounded 30. Flights resumed on Wednesday morning to Bamako's main airport, where much of the violence took place. Residents of the capital resumed their daily activities, including in the vicinity of the police academy. The army said the ground and air response killed more than 100 terrorists. Now, Haiti's government on Wednesday created a provisional electoral council, marking the most concrete step towards reviving the electoral process in years after political turmoil and later violence thwarted previous attempts. The council created on Wednesday already has representatives for 7 seats that represent religious groups, journalists, farmers and unions. The council will be tasked with laying out the legal framework to hold elections and then planning them. The Caribbean nation is set to hold elections by 2026, a decade after they were last held in 2016. Under normal circumstances, elections would have been held every 5 years, but an already rocky political situation in Haiti was exacerbated by a power vacuum caused by the assassination of President Jovenel Moise in 2021, and the nation has gone without a president since. A national butterfly emergency has been declared in UK after a citizen count showed a hugely concerning decline in numbers. Overall, participants spotted just 7 butterflies on average per 15 minutes, a reduction of almost 50% on last year's average of 12, and the lowest in the 14-year history of the big butterfly count. This year's fall in butterfly numbers is thought to have been made worse by the wet spring coupled with the late arrival of summer heat. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. A Chilean company is hoping to take electric vehicle technology to a new frontier in October, formally launching an electric bus service in one of the most extreme environments in the world, Antarctica. Hundreds of plaster casts of transgender and non-binary people have been unveiled as the latest installation on Trafalgar Square, Fort Plinth in central London. The sculpture by Mexican artists is the 15th piece and latest in a series of contemporary artworks to be displayed on the plinth, marking 25 years since Ecce Homo by Mark Wallinger was unveiled in 1999. Milan transformed once again into the world's fashion capital, with Fendi launching Spring-Summer 2025 women's shows with a flowing 1920s-inspired collection. Fendi artistic director Kim Jones presented a collection to celebrate 100 years of the Italian luxury brand, focused on movement, lightness, excellence and ease. Time now for another short break, but still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Over 61% voter turnout recorded in the first phase of Jammu and Kashmir assembly polls. India denounces UN report on elections as unwarranted and out of touch, citing bias and lack of objectivity. An India-US joint military exercise Yudh Abhyas 2024 in full swing. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories and some weather updates. Firefighters continue to battle wildfires raging near Portugal's Aguera as more people are forced to flee their homes across the country due to dozens of blazes. Authorities confirmed that much-needed reinforcements arrived on Wednesday from Spain and Morocco, offering some relief as cooler weather improved conditions to fight the flames. At least 7 people have died due to the blazes in the Aveiro and Viseu districts, with dozens of houses destroyed and tens of thousands of hectares of forest and scrubland consumed. Authorities have mobilized more than 5,000 firefighters. And Peruvian President Dina Boluarte has declared a state of emergency in 3 regions affected by devastating forest fires. The decision was taken after the forest fire have burned through swathes of nation's Andean and Amazonian croplands and left 16 dead. Speaking at the government palace, the president said that the heavily forested northern regions of Amazonas, San Martin and Ucayali will be under the new emergency measures, following several requests from local authorities for more resources to be allocated to fight the fires.
Hace unos días sobrevolé Amazonas.
A few days ago, I flew over Amazonas, which, due to its geographical and rugged area, it is difficult for helicopters to enter to be able to extinguish through the 3,000 liters of water in its shipment carried by the helicopter, as well as the San Martin and Ucayali regions. That is why today, in the Council of Ministers, we are agreeing to declare a state of emergency in these 3 regions.
Consejo de Ministros.
North Carolina government declared a state of emergency in southeastern counties after an unnamed storm stamped the coast in what some residents said was a once-in-a-century event. Residents in the coastal town of Carolina Beach said they were taken by surprise by the powerful storm system that dumped more than 20 inches of rain in a short period of time. A coastal flood advisory remains in place as residents wait for the waters to recede. Now, Nigeria's Hydrological Services Agency has warned of a potential flooding in 11 states after Cameroon said it was starting to release water from one of its largest dams. The warning comes as Nigeria is already grappling with severe floods in northeastern Borno state, where a dam burst its walls after heavy rains that have also caused floods in Cameroon, Chad, Mali and Niger. And a tropical storm is forecast to make landfall in Southeast Asia's Vietnam late on Thursday, bringing torrential rains that could trigger dangerous floods. The storm, called Storm Number 4 in Vietnam, is forecast to hit the coast from Quang Tri to Quang Nam province in the evening with wind gusts of up to 102 kilometers an hour. Weathermen predicted that Storm Number 4 will trigger rains of between 100 to 300 millimeters from Thursday to Friday in central Vietnam, including in the tourist destination of Da Nang. And the Southeast Asian country has been reeling from the impacts of Typhoon Yagi, the strongest storm to hit Asia this year, which made landfall in northern Vietnam nearly 2 weeks ago. The typhoon killed more than 290 people and caused property damages of around $1.6 billion. Time for some other stories. The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir voted in its first assembly election in a decade on Wednesday. The overall voter turnout in the Union Territory during the first phase of the assembly election was recorded at over 61%. The highest voter turnout so far has been recorded in the Kishtwar district of Jammu and Kashmir with 77.23%, while the lowest has been in Pulwama with 43.87%. Meanwhile, campaigning for the remaining phase of elections are in full swing. Political leaders holding rallies across Jammu and Kashmir. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also hold rallies in Srinagar and Katra region of Jammu. And on his visit to Jammu and Kashmir, Prime Minister Narendra Modi wrote on X, and I quote him, "I look forward to being among the people of Jammu and Kashmir today. Will address a rally in Srinagar and Katra. Yesterday's turnout has shown that people of J&K are very enthusiastic about the elections and are keen to make the poll process vibrant. I will speak about our development agenda and seek people's blessings," unquote. Now, India denounced UN report on Indian elections, delivering her remarks at the 57th session of the Human Rights Council in Geneva. Indian envoy Anupama Singh termed the annual report presented by the Working Group on Enforced and Involuntary Disappearances, as well as the thematic report on elections, unwarranted and out of touch with reality, leading to concerns of bias and lack of objectivity.
As regards elections, we are proud to have successfully concluded the world's biggest electoral exercise and elected a government that reflects the will of the people. Thus, we find the comments in the report unwarranted and out of touch with reality, leading to concerns of bias and lack of objectivity. We would urge the working group not to fall prey to motivated political narratives while preparing their report and make greater efforts to uphold the code of conduct governing their functioning and working methods.
All right, there is no more worrying about your kids' future as the Indian government comes up with new pension scheme for children. NPS Vatsalya offers flexible contributions and investment options, allowing parents to make an investment of Rs 1,000 annually in the name of the child, thus making it accessible to families from all economic backgrounds. Anil Thomas has the details.
Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman launched the much-anticipated NPS Vatsalya scheme. The initiative, introduced in budget of 2024, aims to financially secure children's future by encouraging guardians to invest in a pension account on their behalf.
The alacrity and the speed with which both the Department of Financial Services and also the PFRDA have executed what was announced in the July budget in this kind of a speedy manner, I am pleasantly surprised. This kind of fulfilling what is said in the budget in a matter of a few months gives a lot of hope that budget speeches are not just read, but they are enacted upon and they are brought to the ground.
At the launch, 75 locations across the country got more than 2,500 new NPS Vatsalya account holders. 9 children got their PRAN cards or permanent retirement account number from the Union Minister.
For NPS Vatsalya scheme, it's a good scheme for minors. They have their earnings and they have to save their earnings from at the early age. And it's a very good scheme, and after that they will reach around their age, they will get some good pension and their lives for security.
NPS Vatsalya is a new pension scheme designed for minors. It allows parents and guardians to invest as little as 1,000 rupees annually in a child's future, making it accessible to families across all income levels.
वैसे अभी तो पेंशन तो है नहीं, तो मुझे लगता है एनपीएस बहुत ही ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है। मेरा तो पहले से ही था, तो मैं इंतज़ार ही कर रही थी माइनर का भी कुछ लॉन्च हो। तो सर जैसे ही लॉन्च हुआ मैंने खुलवा दिया इनका और आज इस प्रोग्राम में इनवाइटेड है।
Through long-term investments, the scheme aims to generate wealth with the power of compounding. Once the child turns 18, the account can be seamlessly converted into a regular NPS Tier 1 account. NPS Vatsalya highlights the Government of India's commitment in securing the financial future of children. Anand Thomas, DD India, New Delhi.
And World Food India 2024 is back, India's premier food innovation event showcasing global investment opportunities and culinary excellence from September 19 to 22nd at Bharat Mandapam in the national capital. Let's go live across the event.
और मेरे तमाम साथी जो इस इंडस्ट्री से जुड़े हुए हैं, जो यहाँ मौजूद हैं, मैं इस मंच के माध्यम से आप सबका धन्यवाद भी करना चाहता हूं, क्योंकि आप लोगों का ही एक महत्वपूर्ण योगदान रहा है भारत को सशक्त बनाने में, भारत के किसानों को मजबूती देने में, उनकी आर्थिक मदद करने में। तमाम हमारे नौजवान युवा साथियों को जहां इस सेक्टर में रोजगार की संभावनाएं आप लोग देने का कार्य करते हैं, तो वहीं आर्थिक पहिए को भी, भारत के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को भी मजबूती देने का काम करते हैं। आज जब हम लोग गर्व से कहते हैं कि भारत दुनिया की 5वीं सबसे बड़ी अर्थव्यवस्था है, 5th लार्जेस्ट इकोनॉमी ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, और हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी के नेतृत्व में हम लोग का लक्ष्य है कि आने वाले वर्षों में भारत को दुनिया की 3री सबसे बड़ी मजबूत अर्थव्यवस्था बनाने में जब हम लोग आगे बढ़ने का काम करते हैं, तो उसमें फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री का महत्वपूर्ण योगदान है। और इस योगदान को कैसे हम लोग बढ़ा सकें, ये वो मंच है जहां पर डिस्कशंस के माध्यम से, कोलैबोरेशंस के माध्यम से, B2B के माध्यम से, G2G के माध्यम से कैसे हम लोग इस इंडस्ट्री को और आगे बढ़ाकर लेकर जा सकें, इस उद्देश्य के साथ वर्ल्ड फूड इंडिया 2024 का आयोजन किया गया। प्रोसेसिंग विद प्रोस्पेरिटी, इस सोच के साथ हम लोग आगे बढ़ने का काम कर रहे हैं। प्रधानमंत्री जी की सोच है कि आने वाले दिनों में कैसे भारत एक फूड बास्केट के तौर पर दुनिया के सामने हम लोग अपने आप को प्रस्तुत कर सकें, कैसे भारत कंट्रीब्यूट कर सके अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर, कैसे भारत की फूड प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर एक अपनी पहचान बना सके। मैं समझता हूं कि यह शुरुआत है, पर इस सोच को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए जितनी बाधाएं आएंगी, उन बाधाओं को दूर करने के संकल्प के साथ हम लोग आगे बढ़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। एंड एज अ मिनिस्टर हेडिंग दिस मिनिस्ट्री, आई वुड लाइक टू एश्योर ईच वन ऑफ यू जो इस क्षेत्र से जुड़े हुए हैं, आप लोगों की समस्या का समाधान ढूंढने की जिम्मेदारी मेरे कंधों पर है। और यह विश्वास मैं आप सबको दिलाना चाहता हूं कि हर संभव प्रयास मैं, मेरा मंत्रालय, हमारी सरकार करेगी ताकि आपको वो ईज ऑफ बिजनेस मिले, वो सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी मिले। मैं जानता हूं कई तरीके की समस्याएं जब हम लोग आगे बढ़ते हैं हम लोग के समक्ष आती हैं, मिसलीडिंग एडवर्टीजमेंट्स को लेकर हो, टैक्स रेट्स को लेकर हो, अलग अलग मंचों पर अलग अलग एसोसिएशंस, ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस के माध्यम से रह रहकर ये तमाम समस्याएं जो मेरे संज्ञान में आती हैं, उनको न सिर्फ उचित मंचों तक लेकर जाकर उसका हल निकालने का हम लोग कार्य कर रहे हैं, बल्कि इस प्रयास में भी हैं कि आने वाले दिनों में एक ऐसा इकोसिस्टम हम लोग तैयार कर सकें जिससे न सिर्फ राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर बल्कि अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पर भी भारत के ब्रांड्स अपनी पहचान बना सकें। आज इस मंच के माध्यम से आई वुड लाइक टू वेलकम ऑल द इंटरनेशनल डेलीगेट्स हु आर प्रेजेंट हियर। इंडिया comes with an opportunity where we can collab together, being an agro-based country, where the farmers are the backbone. In terms of production, there's an abundance here. How to convert this abundance into opportunity is what we are targeting at, is what we are aiming towards. And I think this platform provides us opportunities to collab with each other, provides us to share technologies, gives us an opportunity to interact with each other and share ideas, share technologies, share startup ideas, innovations, I would want and I would request you all to please feel free to interact. I, as a minister, am available 24 hours for you. And I hope that you have a comfortable stay here. During these 4 days, we'll be having interactions with each other. And I assure you on behalf of my government, that we are here with an open mind to collab, to take this industry to a level which provides opportunities for everyone, not only for the stakeholders belonging to this industry, but also every individual, to eradicate the hunger, to eradicate the misleading concepts that has been associated with this industry. मैं यहाँ पर आप सबका जहाँ पे स्वागत करता हूँ, वहीं आप सबका धन्यवाद भी करता हूँ कि आप लोगों ने अपने अपने सुझाव भी इसमें देने का आप लोगों ने कार्य किया। मंत्रालय उन तमाम विषयों पर अध्ययन कर रहा है। पुनः मैं ये विश्वास दिलाता हूँ कि हमारे मंत्रालय की अलग अलग योजनाओं के माध्यम से, प्रधानमंत्री किसान संपदा योजना हो, पीएमएफएमई स्कीम हो, पीएलआई स्कीम के माध्यम से, इन तमाम माध्यमों से जहां हम लोग ये प्रयास कर रहे हैं कि जमीनी स्तर तक हम लोग इस इंडस्ट्री से लोगों को जोड़ पाएं। मुझे आज खुशी होती है, और बल्कि इस हॉल में भी मैं आप उन यंगस्टर्स का भी मैं यहाँ पर स्वागत करता हूँ जो अलग अलग कॉलेजेस से आए हैं। निफ्टन से भी यहाँ पर काफ़ी स्टूडेंट्स आए हैं। आप सबका भी मैं स्वागत करता हूँ, और मुझे खुशी होती है ये देखकर कि यंगस्टर्स इस इंडस्ट्री के साथ जुड़ने का प्रयास कर रहे हैं। मुझे खुशी होती है जब हम लोग बोलते हैं कि फूड प्रोसेसिंग भारत का भविष्य है, ये इंडस्ट्री भारत का भविष्य है, और ऐसे में जब यंगस्टर्स को, उनकी तत्परता को मैं देखता हूं, उनके उत्साह को मैं देखता हूं इस क्षेत्र के प्रति, तो ये मेरे उस विश्वास को बढ़ाता है जिस सोच के साथ हम लोग इस क्षेत्र को आगे बढ़ाने की दिशा में कार्य कर रहे हैं। आप सबकी यहाँ पे मौजूदगी, उसके लिए मैं आप लोगों का धन्यवाद करता हूं, और मैं चाहता हूं कि जितने यंगस्टर्स हैं वो भी इस मंच पर अपने अपने सुझावों को कैसे हम लोग प्रोसेसिंग इंडस्ट्री को आगे लेकर जा सकें, आप लोग भी इन 4 दिनों के दौरान मुझसे व्यक्तिगत मुलाकात कर अपने सुझाव जरूर देने का कार्य करेंगे। I will be available for all of you throughout the span.
This was Minister for Food Processing Industries Chirag Paswan addressing at World Food India 2024 and gathering bringing together industry leaders from across the globe. He said how food industry can be expanded at the global level. He also talked about the ecosystem too and said India comes with opportunity where we can collab together. Talked about startup ideas, innovations and said feel free to interact with him and the ministry too. Food processing is India's future, he said, and wished everyone the best. All right, business updates now. The US Federal Reserve cut interest rates on Wednesday for the first time in 4 years, stepping back from its aggressive bid to cool the world's largest economy and reduce inflation. Here's a report by Anamika Pandey.
In a significant shift for the US economy, the Federal Reserve announced a jumbo-sized rate cut, its first rate reduction cut since the COVID pandemic. Fed Chair Jerome Powell said the recent economic data, such as the slowdown in hiring combined with a decline in the inflation rate, convinced Fed officials that a larger cut was needed.
Our patient approach over the past year has paid dividends. Inflation is now much closer to our objective, and we have gained greater confidence that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2%. As inflation has declined and the labor market has cooled, the upside risks to inflation have diminished and the downside risks to employment have increased. We now see the risks to achieving our employment and inflation goals as roughly in balance, and we are attentive to the risks to both sides of our dual mandate.
As Americans prepare to cast their votes in a November poll, the strength of the economy and concern about its direction has become a critical issue in the presidential election campaign. Former President Donald Trump suggested that the decision to cut interest rates could be politically motivated.
I guess it shows the economy is very bad to cut it by that much. assuming they're not just playing politics, the economy would be very bad, or they're playing politics, one or the other. But it was a big cut.
Vice President Kamala Harris called the rate cut welcome news, stressing that her focus is on keeping prices down. Markets surged in response to the central bank's announcement, but all three major indexes eventually moved into the red before the end of the day. The Fed signaled that it will cut the rate by another 0.5 percentage point this year and expects 4 more cuts in 2025 and 2 in 2026. Anamika Pandey for DD India.
Now, Indian benchmark indices Sensex and Nifty climbed to fresh all-time highs at opening bell, following gains in Asia-Pacific markets and Wall Street futures after Jerome Powell-led US Federal Reserve announced a 50 BPS rate cut on Wednesday evening. At opening bell, the Sensex was up by 441 points, while the Nifty was 0.65% higher. Wall Street benchmark indices ended the trade session lower even after Dow Jones and S&P 500 hit record highs. Asian stocks gained in early trade on the back of the US Fed rate cut decision. Now, contract talks between Boeing and its largest union stalled on Wednesday after both sides failed to reach an agreement on key issues in presence of federal mediators. The Workers' Association in a social media post said that the association is open to further discussions, whether directly or through mediation. The union has been pushing for a 40% raise over 4 years in its first full contract negotiations with Boeing in 16 years, well above the plane maker's offer of 25%, which was resoundingly rejected. Meanwhile, the plane maker on Wednesday said it will temporarily furlough tens of thousands of employees after about 30,000 machinists went on strike on Friday. The strike has halted production of Boeing 737 MAX narrow-body jets along with its 777 and 767 wide-body aircraft, delaying deliveries to the airlines. Digitization has increased dramatically over the past 2 years in Nepal, changing payment patterns from cash or check to convenient payment through quick response codes. As per the payment oversight report by the Nepal Rashtra Bank, the number of checks presented at banks has dropped by 8.97% in the fiscal year 2022-2023. Cash transactions through mobile banking jumped by a whopping 60.19% from mid-June to mid-July. The recent decision of the government of Nepal to refund 10% of the 13% value-added tax on online payments has encouraged people to go digital. Time now for some sporting action. We'll start with Chennai Test. India got off to a shaky start, losing 3 wickets in the first session itself on day 1 of the first test against Bangladesh. Rohit Sharma scored only 6 and got out. That was India's first wicket. And then Shubman Gill could not even open his account. He got out on 0, and Virat Kohli also scored just 6. Yashasvi Jaiswal and Rishabh Pant are at the crease. Hockey now. India men's hockey team returned home to a grand welcome on Thursday morning after winning the Asian Champions Trophy title for a record 5th time. This was also the 2nd consecutive time India has won the trophy after the team defeated China on its home soil in a thrilling match. In the last edition, the men's hockey team had defeated Malaysia in the final. Take a look at this report.
The Indian men's hockey team received a warm welcome at New Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport in the wee hours of Thursday. The team has shown immense grit and determination to win the Asian Champions Trophy title for a record 5th time. The Indian side, led by captain Harmanpreet Singh, secured the trophy after beating hosts China 1-0 in a thrilling final on Tuesday.
हर एक जीत स्पेशल रहती है हमारी टीम के लिए और लास्ट टाइम भी ये चैंपियन थे, इस बार भी, क्योंकि बैक टू बैक जीतना टूर्नामेंट बहुत बड़ी बात होती है हमारे लिए एंड टीम का जो बूस्ट है कॉन्फिडेंस अप करता है थोड़ा. तो आई थिंक जितने यंगस्टर गए हैं मेरे को हम सबको उनके लिए ज़्यादा खुशी है क्योंकि उनका फर्स्ट टूर्नामेंट था हमारे साथ ऐसे और गोल्ड मेडल जीतना उनके लिए उनको एक अच्छा कॉन्फिडेंस मिलेगा और पुश मिलेगा. तो काफ़ी स्पेशल है ये विक्ट्री जो हमारी.
Just a month after their success at the 2024 Paris Olympics, which saw them secure their 2nd consecutive bronze medal, The side went unbeaten throughout the tournament and registered their place in the knockout stage in emphatic fashion. According to the team's ace player Jarmanpreet Singh, working on all the shortcomings in time was the biggest secret of this success. He also said that final match was not easy for them.
I think this win is very important for us because after the Olympics we are playing the first international tournament. So I think it's a great feeling for us and a great achievement for us that we are winning back-to-back 2 medals. Whenever we enter in the final match, and the final match will be never be an easy match for any team, and I think the China played very well, and you know our team always plays very well in this tournament, and we make a goal and we just win that match and championship.
With the victory, India becomes the most successful team in the tournament's history. India also became the only team to win the title 5 times, having retained the trophy for the 2nd consecutive edition after their triumph in 2023. Jugraj Singh's lone goal late in the 4th quarter helped India overcome a fighting effort from the hosts and grab the victory. The success graph of Indian men's hockey team has been continuously moving forward, and the biggest role to play in it is the unity of the team. The men's hockey team are continuously proving themselves on the scale of success and increasing the prestige of Indian hockey at the global level. Gaurav Kumar's report for DD India.
Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.